Hey everyone, I'm going to talk about the September NFT reward competition and the new core changes coming to the game, as well as new NFTs that are coming soon, and finally show off a potentially good food parcel build you could use for the next competition. The next competition will be September 6th, 2022, and the meta will be Food Parcel, a new craft that will require 3 baguettes, 2 jam, and 1 honey in order to craft. Food Parcel will sell for 165,000 in-game cash and will give 13,000 points per each sold. So 1.65 million in-game cash and 130,000 points for a batch of 10. The Food Parcel will be crafted in a new building known as the Boxing Facility, which will cost 300,000 in-game cash, 10 wood, 10 lumber, and 10 energy in order to build, having wages of 750 per minute, as well as requiring at minimum a dirt road to operate. Food Parcel is stored in a warehouse. The reward for this competition will be a bakery ghost card, which should reduce the crafting time required for any crafts in the bakery, which will help out in certain builds such as cake builds, but specifically in a food parcel build since mostly bakeries are used. Now the reward structure for this competition is the same reward structure as the previous NFT reward competition, requiring a top 4,500 placement in addition to a minimum of 50,000 points in order to qualify for a prize, with better placements having a higher rarity version of the bakery ghost card. Moving on, we have some important core changes coming to Townstar, primarily around the sugarcane, sugar, and other things that require sugar. So let's start with the important information first. Sugarcane will now only require 4 water to grow instead of 8, making it significantly easier to grow as the amount of water required has been halved. That saves a lot of pond space. In addition, sugar is now twice as easy to craft in the windmill, as the crafting requirement has been halved, now only requiring 3 sugarcane and 1 wood in order to craft sugar. But because sugar is now twice as easy to craft, the cash received from sugar has been adjusted from $29.50 per sugar down to $2,300 per sugar, approximately a 20% decrease. Because of this change, sugar is now a very good alternative start instead of flour. As for other item adjustments, cake now requires 6 sugar instead of 10, pumpkin pie now requires 5 sugar instead of 10, but had its egg requirement raised from 5 to 10. And as for how this affects some NFTs, passive water NFTs won't be as useful for sugarcane as they have been, but will probably be unaffected due to the fact that water is still required for various other objects, so passive water NFTs should still be fine. Sugar Station will be negatively affected as its overpowered utility is gone since sugar sells for less and is much easier to craft now. It's still a great NFT to have for a boost to in-game cash early in the game, but I would no longer call it an overpowered NFT. And I don't believe the Sugar Station can actually break the game anymore because of these core changes. The simplex sugarcane stands will be affected positively since the amount of sugarcane required to craft sugar is lower and now can be fulfilled with a rare simplex sugar stand or 2 regular simplex sugar stands. Similar to how people use the wheat stands to supply full passive wheat to windmills crafting flour. So the utility of the sugarcane stands are now better. Moving on to the next topic, the new NFTs coming to Townstar soon, which haven't been posted on the Townstar announcements but were discussed in the most recent Townstar discussion on Discord. 2 new NFTs will be sold in the Gala Games Store. This should be happening on September 12th, 2022, and those will be a Paved Road NFT and a Legendary Tree Farm NFT. We know that the Paved Road NFT will act exactly the same as a paved road in game. The only benefit is that you can place it and remove it anywhere and anytime, just like any other NFT. The Paved Road NFT should be priced at about $40 each, is what they had said. Equivalent in town only, so purchasable in town only, I should say. A large quantity of these will be sold and probably won't run out immediately. From what they said, it's going to be a large supply mint. And as for the legendary tree farm, as of recording this, all we know is that it'll require less water, but don't know the exact number. And it will have a reduced craft time, but also don't know the number, and still be affected by negative proximity effects such as shade, salty, and pollution. We don't know the price for this NFT either. Now, in my opinion, the Paved Road NFT is very useful to get that first paved road required for the first power plant early in the game, and then eventually used late in the game as an emergency paved road you need to place down because you tweaked your build. This is an NFT I recommend you have one or two of if you are interested in collecting NFTs for game utility, but I don't see the need to have more than two of these. It's hard to say if the legendary tree farm is worthwhile since I don't know the numbers and I don't know the price, but setting that aside, if you happen to have passive water NFTs like myself and have no problem with having enough trees to produce wood, it doesn't seem like this NFT will really be that worthwhile. Of course, my opinion could change when all the details come out, but thought I'd share how I feel about it right now. And finally, the moment some of you have been waiting for, my Food Parcel build showcase. Keep in mind that as of recording and testing this build, the new additions and changes I've discussed haven't been added to the game, and should be getting added a few hours before the competition begins. Also, keep in mind that the rates shown are a bit lower. While I'm recording, I get less frames per second. So in game, when I'm testing, it's actually slightly higher than this. This build would comfortably do 5 food parcel per hour. That is 15 baguettes, 10 jam, and 5 honey crafted every hour. You can actually get close to 6 food parcel per hour, and with a few more tweaks you could actually get it to that point. That's really good for no NFTs. Everything is balanced fairly well, so it will only sell other items such as clay lumps, eggs, strawberries, and lumber a few times over the course of many hours. It requires an ocean edge in order to allow salt fields to have a green craft timer. I am using a single trade depot to sell with 1 gasoline per sale. You could get away with using 2 gasoline per cell in this build. I'm using 12 loggers, 9 farm tractors, 4 ATVs, 1 worker house, and 1 beekeeper to collect items. For gasoline production, I have your traditional passive energy and water drum setup here, and I have 2 crude oil pumps to supply the crude oil necessary to refine petroleum and then gasoline. For honey production, I have 2 pottery shops with passive energy and water drums. Yes, this means they will have red timers, but that's completely fine since I only need a few honey anyways. There's 1 clay field intentionally missing 1 water, and a well that is intentionally placed in a polluted area for a red timer. The reasoning for this is that you have your worker house collect water from the well every 4 minutes to bring to the clay field, effectively allowing you to get a clay lump once every 4.5 minutes. You need 2 clay lumps in order for a pottery shop to start crafting a ceramic bowl, so you'll end up with almost the exact amount of clay lumps you need for crafting ceramic bowls. You will still end up overproducing clay lumps unless you decide to build a 3rd pottery shop in which you will make slightly more ceramic bowls per hour and potentially overproduce honey in the end. I have 1 beehive crafting honey and 1 meadow. It will take a while to gather 3 nectar from this one meadow, but once again, slow honey is fine for this build. And a pantry to store the honey in. For jam production, I have 1 bakery with passive water drum, 4 strawberry fields near lumberyard, and a good amount of sugar being crafted even before the core change adjustments. Wood and lumber is fairly well balanced, so I will continue crafting the lumber I need for the honey, while I have wood deposited that will be used to grow strawberries for jam. All strawberries should be going to this silo only, which is close to the bakery right here, and a pantry is next to the bakery for quick storing of jam. If you're having issues with wood, you can also try turning off your lumber mill until your wood shed is fully stocked with wood, and then turn on the lumber mill again. This should fix that issue, although you shouldn't have to keep doing this for the build to work. So I have 6 bakeries total. 1 was for jam, as I already explained. 1 is for baguettes. 1 is for dough. And 3 are for butter. They are as close to the storehouses as possible for efficient production. Baguettes require 2 dough, 2 butter, and 2 wood to craft. Although wood is not an issue, as the logger would just bring wood to it. The dough and butter are crafted by other bakeries using all of the following different ingredients: flour, egg, milk, salt, and sugar. So I will show how I'm getting all of those. For flour, I have 5 wheat fields and a total of 15 windmills crafting flour, all red timers. And here's all the windmills crafting flour. For eggs, I have 1 chicken coop and plenty of meadows, so eggs are no problem. For milk, I have 8 milk barns, plenty of meadows nearby. It's actually a total of 24 meadows. I also have 1 trough and 1 feed mill, as it will allow my ATVs to slowly craft feed using the excess wheat. For salt, I have 6 salt fields on green timers, 11 windmills crafting salt, 10 of which have red timers, and 1 of them has a green timer, which is this one right here. And for sugar, I have 5 sugarcane fields, 10 windmills crafting sugar, all red timers. Here's all the windmills crafting sugar. You're absolutely going to have to tweak this once the core changes for sugar kick in, and that potentially means getting rid of 1 sugarcane field here in exchange for a tree farm or a wheat field, and getting rid of this windmill right here, possibly putting in another feed mill. That's what I would try to do at the very least. You can also change the arrangement of ponds and crops as well, but that's going to be up to you to figure out if you wish to do so. If you overproduce sugar, not to worry, just auto sell the excess sugar. This build will still work just fine. Okay, so this empty spot right here is where I would build the boxing facility. It is directly next to the pantry to quickly pick up the jam and honey, and a short walk to the storehouse that will have the baguettes. Food parcels only take 30 seconds to craft, so you only need to build 1 of these. That leaves 2 empty spots here and here, which you can use however you wish to figure out how to improve this build further. But the reason I left this specific spot open right here is because this build will actually work great in a north orientation desert with a south ocean edge. I know that sounds very specific, but if you manage to get that location on the map, then that spot right there will be your oil seep. And you can adjust your gasoline setup to include passive crude oil, which removes the need for these crude oil pumps, and a worker house, and you can get rid of the well. That'll all provide significantly faster gasoline and energy production to help you throughout the whole building process. And in case you're wondering how to get spots with a north orientation desert but an ocean on the south, spots like this or this will work. Well, that's the whole build explained. I know that took a while and I'm gonna have to edit this to make the video shorter. But I want to be as informative as possible to help you win the competition. I think this build can easily manage to win a rare version of the Bakery Ghost card, and possibly even get the epic version of the Ghost card with a proper rush strategy in the beginning, and this is with no NFTs. I do want to point out that if you have an Orb of Hope, you could get away with just using one pottery shop, but that's really not going to save you any space if you think about it, because you have to place the NFT. And if you have a wheat stand, you may want to consider changing up the layout in order to have passive feed mills and windmills crafting flour. Also, for those of you wondering if windmills crafting flour with green timers is possible, I would not consider that a viable option unless you have an epic wheat stand or better and multiple feed bots. If you do have all this, you may want to look into making a layout with a couple of windmills crafting flour having green craft timers. Okay, I think that's all the information I have regarding the September NFT reward competition, the core changes, the new upcoming NFTs, and this build showcase. Also, I apologize for such a laggy video. As you can see, my laptop does not do well recording and playing the game at the same time, which is one of the reasons I'm trying to stay away from live streaming right now, because it's just going to be very laggy, and live streaming during a competition will greatly slow me down as my production rates actually drop because of this. But I can assure you that this build was easily doing 5 food parcel per hour, even though the rates have gone down since I've recorded this. I worked very hard on getting this build together to help out all of my fellow non-NFT players out there. I want you to have fun and win yourself a nice useful NFT for Townstar. With that in mind, consider leaving a like on this video, and if you haven't already, subscribe to see future content I create that will help you understand and compete in various different games in the Gala Games ecosystem. Feel free to leave a comment letting me know what you think of this build, and let me know if you plan on competing on this competition as well. Also, I am in the process of updating the Townstar playbook with all the new changes and additions coming to the game, so be on the lookout for that. Thank you so much for your support, and if you're planning on competing, I wish you the best of luck.